Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Stars Like Us. I am your host, Aliza Kelly, and I am here today with someone I've known for actually a very, very long time. Randon, my guest today, and I actually studied astrology together. So we have known each other. Did we meet in 2016,
I think
2017?
2016, 17 cusp, but
Yeah,
probably closer to 16.
I think it was 16 because I had
I
just
think
come
it
back
was
from
too.
Los Angeles. I think that we were in class together at Annabelle's at that time.
Yes, it was the
So
classes that were in the front room and not the back room, so it was definitely one of the first ones.
yeah, 2016.
Yep.
So we've known each other for 5,000 years. But for listeners who are just meeting Randon now, Randon is a Libra Sun, Gemini Moon, fellow Capricorn Rising, which I think we also have to talk about why all of the astrologers are Capricorn Risings.
I think I know
You're like,
why.
I have no thoughts.
It's the Uranus Neptune conjunction in Capricorn that
Yeah.
we kind of our generation has.
Yes. Okay. We'll table that, pin in that. Randon is good horoscope, a professional astrologer and interdisciplinary artist. She has been publishing horoscopes since 2017 for Vice, Allure, Die Welt.
Develt.
Did I do
Yeah,
it?
you
Die
did
Welt and
it.
more. Apart from privately consulting with clients, she currently writes weekly horoscopes for Vice and self publishes astrology theories. That is true. You do self publish astrology theories.
It's what I do.
Thank you so much for being on here today. It's so lovely to see you.
Thanks so much for inviting me on. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Okay, so first things first, we need to talk about something really important that happened just a couple of years ago, which went down on Twitter, right?
Mm.
you're,
Dude,
you're
it wasn't even my astrology Twitter. It was like my other Twitter that's now kind of inactive.
Oh,
But
right, because you are a Gemini moon, so you have to have multiple accounts.
I have so many accounts. I'm trying to. I think my Saturn return is about only having one account.
Maybe
That's what it's about.
well, truthfully, sometimes I'll see like a name pop up on Instagram or Twitter, and I'm like, who is this? Like, I've never followed an account with this name, and then it's you making your account a different name yet again.
Yeah, it's a habit. I definitely changed the names a lot, or have. Like even when I was on AIM as a kid, it was like always a different screen name every other week.
Well, actually, I relate to that too. I switched up my screen names all the time. And mainly because I like to create really elaborate profiles for all of my
Oh,
accounts. And I really wanted to it was kind of like a character study. And then once I had like sort of figured out that persona, then I was over it and I had to create a new screen name.
yeah, that
Anyway,
definitely
this
definitely the
account,
phases.
what we are referring to is something that
Right.
happened on Twitter and it involved Lana Del Rey, the real Lana Del Rey, not an account
Yeah.
named Lana Del Rey.
No, it was her. It was really her. She tweeted her birth time at me. But it wasn't like just like a one-time thing where I was like, "Hey, do you mind sharing your birth time with me?" Like I had been posting photos of her being like, "This is my favorite Gemini, Lana Del Rey," and I would like tag her on my like astrology Instagram, and I would always talk about how she was a Gemini. I would tweet about how she was a Gemini. Like I was so obsessed with her being a Gemini. I really wanted her to be a Gemini so badly. And I guess she must have seen it over the years of me talking
You're
about
like,
it.
this went on for
No,
decades.
I was like posting about how my favorite pop star is a Gemini and she's just one of the best Gemini pop stars like Prince or something, like just another amazing Gemini pop star. And yeah, she was like, "No, I'm not. I'm actually a Cancer. I was born at 4:47 p.m."
But there was originally
I'm
another time circulating, right? Like there
Well,
were,
she circulated that time
right,
herself.
right.
She like didn't know her birth time and then she found it. I was like, well,
So
but
she,
I mean,
So she originally didn't know, and then she knew, and then she really, I mean, she's since like sung about having mutual reception, right? Like, didn't
Yes. That's such a good song. Oh my God, it's such a good song. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Yeah. Well, originally in the Astro Databank, we had like a screenshot of her telling a fan her birth time on Instagram, like a really long time ago. And since then, her birth time has changed, but she's the source of this information. So I believe that she got her birth certificate and was like, "Oh, never mind. This is my
Well, I
real
mean,
birth time." Like maybe it was like a parent said that your birth time is this, and then you find your birth time later, and it's actually totally different.
well, in this is a Stars Like Us exclusive moment, because I haven't shared this, but in when I got Julia Fox's birth time, in addition to getting her
Congratulations.
time, thank you so much, 7:30 a.m., I also got a screenshot of her co-star, but on her co-star screenshot, it had her with a Cancer rising. And that obviously like doesn't track. She's not an Aquarius born at 7:30 a.m. with a Cancer rising. That's not accurate. Couldn't be. I put it in just to like make sure because she was born in Milano. So I wanted to like, be like, oh, maybe it's different in Milan. Maybe it would be a Cancer rising. It's not. It's if she's born at 7:30 a.m., she's an Aquarius rising. But then I went back to the source and I was like, hey, which one of these is correct? Because Cancer rising is not a 7:30 a.m. birth time. And my source said, no, 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 Julia just confirmed 7:30 a.m. So she must have had it wrong in co-star. But that seems really sus to me, don't you think?
Well, sometimes CoStar gives people the wrong calculation of ascendant. Like
Oh,
sometimes
really?
it glitches. Yes, I've heard of this.
Oh,
I've
whoa.
heard
I
of
didn't
it
know
glitching.
that.
I don't know if they fixed it or not, but that's a possibility. So I was kind of confused listening to you because I was like, did you get the birth time from CoStar and then punch it into like, your astrology software? Or
I got a birth time and a screenshot.
okay,
And the birth time, 7:30 a.m. The screenshot there was no birth information on the screenshot, but it just said like Cancer rising.
it was one of those tables.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a fucking
it was
table.
it was the table. It was the CoStar table. Sometimes, yeah, I've heard horror stories of
That's
the
so
chart calculator being
interesting.
glitchy. I don't know if this is a rumor that I'm starting or not,
No,
but
I mean this would validate what you have heard.
yeah, so that's a possibility. And if it's
Maybe
from
especially
like,
because she was born in Milan. Maybe they
yeah,
don't have an international
hmm,
setup very
or maybe she put the wrong
comprehensively.
location, or who knows? But if it's straight from the fox's mouth, then I think that's like a pretty reliable source.
Yeah, because I
There,
did go back. I did go
yeah,
back and I was like, hey, this is like conflicting information. Can we verify one or the other? I'm happy with one or the other. I'm happier with her being an Aquarius rising than I am a
yeah,
Cancer rising, but I'll take whatever I can get.
right. Oh, it's so interesting. We have to look at it
Do you want to look
closer.
at it?
Kind of, because like I what jumped out to me when I saw was the Mars opposite Jupiter in Cancer and Capricorn, because like Mars and performs well in Capricorn and Jupiter performs well in Cancer, and those are two really strong placements, and they're like right there opposite each other. And I was like, wow, that's a really powerful chart. But then I loved that being in like the fifth house with the Aquarius rising chart, because then that explains like her being, I don't know, fertile, like having children and like having Jupiter in the fifth house. It's like automatically my mind would be like, okay, well, do you have kids? Do you want kids? What's your relationship with
Mm-hmm.
kids? And then she does have a child. So I don't know.
Yeah, and also interesting to have um that opposition with the exaltations
Mm-hmm.
because it also is like it's like it's like just sort of the magnitude of all of it. It's like also it makes me think of her um creating that entire series of posts around her baby daddy being like missing and
I
then pulled it
know.
back.
Yeah. And also just like how popular she is and how she like her reputation grew so quickly. Um, and as an actress too, with like related to the 5th and 11th houses,
Yeah, I
it's
think
just
that the
Aquarius
11th
rising
house
is
is
good.
actually like the fame house, as it turns out.
Yeah.
I think it is. I've seen enough charts of these illustrious celebrities to know that
Yeah.
it's, I mean, and I'm not saying this to benefit any, I have nothing in the 11th house. I have an empty 11th house. It is, but it seems like a lot of really, really magnetic people have strong 11th house placements. And she has her sun in the 11th, right?
Well, she's Aquarius.
Oh,
With the
right. So
Aquarius
she,
rising chart, then yeah, she's but she has Mars and Capricorn in the 11th
wait, no,
house, and
she
that
has
is
her sun
like,
in the first house. Let's just pull up the chart.
yes.
Let's just pull it
Yes. Can
up.
we
Yeah,
share
I'll
screen?
do it right now.
Please. Let's look at Julia Fox's birth chart.
Absolutely. Okay, hold
And
on.
there are rumors, like Kanye West's birth time is like debated, and there are rumors that he's a Cancer rising. So him kind of falling in her 11th house and being kind of like a person that made her fame like even more um exaggerated, because she was already famous before she met Kanye West, but like he kind of was an 11th house kind of person for her, I think.
Do you
Wait,
know
no,
that?
he's Cancer, not Capricorn. Cancer rising, not Capricorn rising. He's
Oh
fifth
yeah,
house.
you said Cancer rising.
But that axis.
Mhm. I apparently I went to middle school with Julia Fox.
Yeah, she's like a New York legend.
Yeah, apparently we went to the same middle school. I have no recollection of her. She
She's
was a
been
grade
around.
younger. She was a grade younger than me, but
She's
even
definitely been
still,
around.
I I know I remember her friends. I remember her friends distinctly, vividly, but I don't remember her. So
She's
that was like a
definitely.
pre Julia Fox as Julia Fox. I
So
w-
you would be like in the 12th house somewhere in her chart, I think, because you're Capricorn rising. And if you
yeah,
went
I'd
to
be
middle
right
school
here.
together, you're in there.
I'd be right
You're in her
here.
chart.
I'm hanging out with Neptune.
Yeah.
What's your Capricorn rising?
I think it's like 14 around that.
Oh, really? We're so
Yeah,
close?
I think so.
Oh my gosh. Sister, sister.
Hello.
Hello. That's so cool. Okay. So for listeners, we are talking about Jupiter at 1 degree of Cancer and Mars at 2 degrees of Capricorn, um, making an opposition, but both in exalted signs. That is what was moving through the fifth, or I guess that's when we're talking about fifth and 11th house activity. We are looking at those placements. Um, this being the fertile Jupiter in Cancer in the fifth house, and then Mars in the 11th house in Capricorn being like that's a girl boss gatekeep right there, if I've ever
So
seen one.
popular, so popular, so known.
So known.
Yeah.
What I thought was also very interesting in the timing of her chart of what was going on in her relationship with Kanye
Mhm.
was that she was having her Venus return, and she also has Venus retrograde. Venus was retrograde in Capricorn at that time, moving through her 12th house. And literally, the second it crosses her ascendant is when they break up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and I love how like her story afterward, she said, "Oh, you think that was a real relationship? Like, please. Like that was just some sort of like, you know, maybe publicity stunt or whatever that she kind of said it was."
Yeah,
Um, so 12th house is kind of like secrets and things, like not all the information's out there. So like
right.
maybe it was actually just like a kind of like PR type of relationship.
Right. But it also like, I don't know, it makes me, how do you feel about Neptune, Mercury, Saturn, and Venus all in the 12th? Like, how would you unpack this little stellium over here?
Well, I like Mercury and Neptune together for an actress, for someone being able to communicate as different people. I mean, Neptune is like a shape shifter and Mercury is how you communicate. And so these two things together, you know, in the 12th house too, would be kind of changing how you communicate or being able to step into different roles, being able to tap into kind of like the collective unconscious of the 12th house in order to step into a role. I've only ever seen a couple movies with her in it. I saw Uncut Gems, and of course, I've seen that movie multiple times. I really love that movie. And also, she played a cam girl in this movie. I'm forgetting the name. It came out like on Valentine's Day a couple years ago. But it was a similar role, kind of like a femme fatale video vixen role. But I don't know. Maybe she's played other roles that are like different. But the two roles that she played in Uncut Gems and that one cam girl movie, I'm sorry, I wish I had the name on off the top of my head.
It's okay. I think our
They
listeners can
seem,
Google it if they feel really compelled to look up Julia Fox as a cam girl.
it was a really fun movie.
Oh, well, then they definitely should. Please Google it and let us know.
But the roles were kind of similar. They were like kind of what I would like think of her as a person, even though it's totally a role. So it was very believable. Like her roles were really believable. So maybe that's just her being an amazing actress, you know, and maybe that's the Mercury Neptune thing, like being able to convince you that this is who she is. When really it's just like a mirage and she's playing into the illusion of Julia Fox.
Yeah, I think the
It's
thing that
great
makes
for
me
celebrity.
it makes me nervous because, well, I think that there are a handful of pop stars who can really seamlessly move between different persona periods. But it's not the easiest thing to do. I think that a lot of the time when the media frames you in a certain way, when your sort of collective person sort of is represented as a thing, it could be very hard to break out of that and to create a new identity for yourself if the public has decided that you are that person, whatever that
Right.
person is.
So maybe like she's being typecast
Yeah.
in all of these films, right?
But maybe she's also right now, seeing that storyline, that this version of her is attracting a lot of attention. So she's also like smart and doubling down on it.
Yeah.
But then, I feel like I get worried about this 12th house stuff because it feels like she might find herself being trapped.
Right. Very 12th house.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Venus return with her Venus retrograde and Venus retrograding over her natal Venus, like that was like a really transformative moment for her in the public eye where she like became more well known and also like her image kind of changed. I don't know if maybe I was just paying more attention to her, but like, like her body changed and her just she became a household name kind of like overnight, where like people already knew her because they loved Uncut Gems, but now like more and more people know her. But I think she transformed. Like I think she really changed and stepped into a new version of herself with that Venus return.
Yeah.
I would wonder what
With
the
that
progress.
and I guess that's kind of like the rare benefit of having a Venus return during a retrograde is that it just lasts for so fucking long
Yeah.
that it's just like it has enough time to really deliver long lasting results, whereas a regular Venus return, is not it's not like multiple weeks long. It's like a few days, in its exact. Obviously, you have the build up and then you have the dissemination, but you usually don't have a Venus return that lasts like 40 days and 40 nights.
Oh my God. I wonder what's going to happen with the people who have Mars in Gemini at the end of this year. Like Mars is going to be in Gemini for, God, like from the fall until next
Right.
spring.
Yeah, it's going to be in Gemini forever.
Forever. Those people are going to have a really long Mars return.
That's so interesting. My fiance has Mars in Gemini. I hadn't even thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that'll be an anecdotal case study for me, for measies. Um, any final thoughts on Julia Fox's chart? Should we look at the transits right now?
Let's look at the transits right now. I also see the moon in Taurus is beautiful. And like, I know
Ugh,
people on Twitter were immediately jumping on that. But not only is it in Taurus, but in the Aquarius rising chart, it's in the third house, which is where the moon has its planetary joy. And it's also the house of goddess. So there's something extremely like feminine and like goddess like about Julia Fox.
yeah, definitely. The moon in Taurus, this is my favorite placement for the moon is in Taurus, which is like also like, that's not particularly original since it's literally in its exaltation there. So like I'm not like groundbreaking anything. But I really love a Taurus moon. I envy a Taurus moon. My Pisces
Mhm.
moon like really wants that to be able to like know how to like feed myself and take care of myself like a moon in Taurus would.
Yeah. I mean, the moon in Pisces is also great. It's ruled by Jupiter. Love that for you. Love that
Thank
for your
you.
moon.
Thanks.
But
Yeah.
the but this Taurus moon in the third house, and it's a night chart. Like she was born at night. The sun is under the ascendant degree, so the moon is like the most important luminary in the chart. So that Taurus moon is like just popping in so many different directions. There's like the exaltation. It's in the house of its joy, and it's the luminary of sect. It's just like screams goddess, just screams it.
She has a lot of exaltations.
Yeah.
And then she also has a lot of, well, not a lot, but there are a few also. I mean, her sun is in its um detriment, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything
Aquarius.
else?
I mean,
I mean,
I,
Venus doesn't
it's
love to be in Capricorn.
no, but it's right there with Saturn. Her Venus might as well be Saturn.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Might as well be the same planet.
And then she has an exalted Mars, she has an exalted moon, she has an exalted Jupiter. We
Man,
have
I'm
some.
like, she's been through so much.
Oh, well, when you say that, what do you see? What are you looking at?
I'm just like, okay, um, Saturn in a night chart, right, is one of the most like challenging planets because Mars in a day chart is the more challenging planet. So then in the night chart, you get Saturn. And so everything kind of leads to Saturn. And then it's like, but Saturn is in the 12th house. It's doing what it has to do. I feel like all the things that she's been through have, of course, like made her stronger or made her into the person that she's become today. But also just knowing like biographical information about her, just generally things that she shared online about like, you know, losing a friend or dealing with addiction, dealing with her baby father drama. Like I'm just like just from public knowledge as well as from this birth chart, I'm like she's been through she's been through it, but I feel like it's all made her into like a really just like solid person, and I think she's going to be around for a while.
Yeah, I feel like when I see this many exaltations in a chart, it makes me feel like the chart has like guardian angel qualities to it. It's like she
Yeah.
can get herself out of precarious situations, because she has all of these sort of like protective pieces in her chart that are like, don't do that, or like, hey, step off from that ledge, my friend, like pull it
Yeah.
back, rein it in. So I feel like having that many exaltations on one hand is that, and then on the other hand is super extreme because
Yeah.
I don't think that exaltations are necessarily, nothing in astrology is, well, I know we practice like slightly different astrologies. So maybe that for you, you do work with the benefics and malefics more. But for
Yeah.
me, it's like, I don't see anything as primarily good or bad. I see things as
Yeah.
always being nuanced, including an exaltation is
Right.
also just going to be like, oh my God, turn that fucking down. Like that is so loud. That is the loudest song I've ever heard.
Right.
Could be an
Like
exalted
it's
planet.
just coming through clearly, and there's
Right.
like it's the planet's doing its job really. Yeah, I think with benefic and malefic, like as terms, I try to not have value judgment on charts really, because sometimes like malefic planets, like in my chart, like everything's malefic, and then like whenever those malefics are kind of like activated, some really great things happen for me, so
Hmm.
it's really like not like a good or bad value judgment, but really just a way to kind of look at the planets.
Love it.
But
Okay, so
yeah.
let's quickly, before we close the book on Julia Fox, transits. What do
I
you
mean,
think? Also, at the time of this recording,
today,
Venus, today's transits. Happy Venus finally leaving Saturn's hostage situation.
here we go.
Yeah, wow. Breath of fresh
Here we
air.
go.
Look at that right there. Venus, 0 degrees Pisces. Talk about exaltation.
This is like the 1 month of the year that Venus is like in like just mint condition. Like
Mint
there's
condition.
nothing. There's like nothing that could stop it.
Fine.
I'm
I mean,
so
and
excited.
this is really like just such a so long overdue. So long overdue. What a tremendous feat that she has endured
Oh my
in
God.
her besiegement for so long.
I mean, when she was in Capricorn, she was like there for how many months? 4 months?
She
five
entered
months?
Capricorn in November.
Yeah, and then left in
November.
March. And I think Gemini, not Gemini, Mars is going to do the same thing in Gemini this year, where it's like goes all the way for like ages. But yeah, Venus in Capricorn. How was that for you? My fellow 14-degree Capricorn rising.
It sucked, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I also, but like, here's the thing is that I'm going to close Julia's chart. Thanks, Julia. We really appreciate you. Um, the thing is that I also had a Uranus, I was having my Uranus Pluto opposition throughout this whole time. Um,
Okay.
and it was exact last month in March. So it was kind of like, well, who's causing this? Like, who's creating this like grief,
Right.
this
It's
like
like a communal, like
exactly. It was
whole
like
world
they were all
thing.
conspiring against me. But I would say that probably, what I had noticed with Venus being in such a compromised position for so long, um, is that we didn't really get the full, like, even with Jupiter being in Pisces, which I feel like is phenomenal. And I had, Jupiter cross over my moon, fantastic. But I feel like because Venus was so compromised, and it's a personal planet and everything else is an outer planet, like you need the personal planets to be working with you in order to feel the benefits of the outer planets. And if the personal planets are in these like compromised states, then you're not going to get the full experience, of having like
Oh,
a Jupiter on your moon, even though I do feel like I got the full experience of having Uranus oppose my Pluto. So I don't know. It's been a weird 2022. How about for you?
yeah, I mean, for me, and I have a lot of Capricorn risings in my life for some reason. Like we just collect. I was speaking with my friend who also has Capricorn rising, and we were going through something similar, like with like our relationship to like beauty standards and things like this, especially 'cause, like happening in the first house, and just trying to like untangle like where you start and where everything else ends, and just trying to figure out like your values within like this vessel is
Yeah,
it was
totally.
a fun 40 days and 40 nights. I mean, I don't know. There were a lot of thoughts about that topic that usually kind of go um, over the radar.
Yeah, I mean, I got a Peloton while during this time.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, that's so
My
literal.
yeah. My stepmom has a Peloton. When I was visiting on Long Island, I used it a couple times, and I found like one Peloton instructor that I was like, I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
I really trust. I did a couple classes and there was just one of them where I was like, I just trust this person. But it was really interesting. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic.
No,
You're talking
no.
about Peloton, but yeah, because there's Soul Cycle, which is like the original, like we're going to be a motivational speech type of thing, and it was like a whole experience. And then every other, I think, spin class tried to replicate this, where they have to talk you up and like make you feel like motivated, but it's just on the screen and like not in real time, like watching live recorded videos while just kind of being alienated like on this bike like in the suburbs is like so bizarre to me.
It's so interesting that you said, I really like resonated with you. I found an instructor that I trusted that literally could have come out of my own mouth as well. That language. I feel like us Capricorn risings are always just like, do I trust them or do I not trust them?
No,
Like that's the measure.
it's so I'm learning this about myself. I was like just listening to my own voice. Like, yeah, the moon's in Gemini right now. I'm a Gemini moon. So the thoughts are really
You're like,
coming.
so bear with me.
um, yeah, like hearing myself talk and I'm like, damn, like I was like, who do I respect? Like I respect everyone. Like everyone deserves respect, but like, who do I really admire? Like, who do I really look up to? And I'm like, like I could like name them. It's like, who do I
I love
trust?
that. That's the most Capricorn rising thing
Like,
ever. We were
who do
like,
I really
I've been
trust?
more or less disappointed by everyone in my life. So I really only have, I could count them on my fingers how many people I really trust.
Like people not just trust, but like admire and
Yeah.
like feel like, wow, you're someone that I like look up to,
Yeah. How
because
do you
otherwise
feel like you're
everyone's just,
Capricorn rising? Like, why do you think you're a Capricorn rising?
oh, well, not just because of my birth time.
Exactly.
Um, okay. I don't know. People always like ask like if something's wrong. It's like the like resting bitch face thing.
You
I'm like,
okay?
yeah, I'm fine. It's just I look like this. So I just look like this. I've like said that my whole life. I know it's just my face.
Do you think I were there things that have happened in your life that you would say like this is like has to be the life of a Capricorn rising?
Oh, I mean, I just journaling this morning and I've been thinking a lot about my Saturn return because I'm in the thick of it, like degree to
Really?
degree. Like this month, April is the month where it first like hits by degree. And then I'm going to get another hit because it's going to retrograde. But I'm really in the middle of it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So important for a Capricorn rising.
I feel stable. Like I feel like for the first time, like everything's like figured out. Like everything's like, you know, um, I'm really happy to be at this point
Oh,
in my life. Even though, Saturn returns can be really hard, but I feel like things are actually like materializing and like coming together. And like everything just kind of makes sense. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
I think that Saturn return is just like, I don't want to be that bitch talking about Saturn return for the rest of my life. Like I know I'm going to have to like move as I get older and like, the people who are following me get older. Like we all have to like we'll have to start like talking about some other
Mm-hmm.
milestones.
Second
But
Saturn return.
yeah, not that old. Easy. But like maybe, a Uranus opposition in the
Right.
early 40s. Like there's other things, but at the same time, I can't quit. I can't quit him. I can't quit talking about Saturn return because it's just so important. It's like just such a game change. It really, really is a before and after, it creates this like division of time and life. And obviously it would because it's fucking Chronos, like you're dealing with like the fucking timekeeper himself. But the way that it just like reframes our understanding of how we exist and what we do to exist, I think is just so monumental, so profound that it's like I can't stop talking about it. I think it's too meaningful.
Yeah. No, I'm actually loving it. I was scared of my Saturn return leading up to it because, all the like anti-Saturn return propaganda made by people who are probably not Capricorn risings. But
Totally.
I am like, wow, I finally feel like my life makes sense. Or I I don't know. Maybe I'm not scared of Saturn. I don't know. I don't want to say that too
Can we
loud.
can we talk about what you DM'd me about? The
I'm not sure. I haven't signed anything, but also maybe let's not jinx it because I haven't signed anything.
well, I
I
just want to
haven't.
tell you that that happened during my Saturn return.
Oh my
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay. Wow. We really do. Like, I
Listeners, just
actually think,
TBD on this. We'll
yeah,
circle back as
TBD.
soon as something's signed.
Thanks. That's really cool information. I mean, yeah. And now I'm like, okay, maybe we really do both have it like at 14 degrees. I think.
Well, I'm
Okay.
12, but 2
Yeah.
degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll meet in the middle at 13.
Yeah. I know I'm in the Taurus deacon. I'm in the second deacon.
Yeah.
That rings a bell.
Do you say deacon or deacon? Well, you said deacon, so
Deacon like Dan Deacon.
Deacon like indie sleaze. I don't know why it's been renamed indie sleaze. It was just called hipster at that time. Is it because hipster is too gross?
I want to like, I don't want to like reclaim hipster, but I kind of want to like use hipster as like an insult to things.
Well, I just don't know.
Like,
I
bring it
mean,
back as like
does Gen Z know that it had a different name at some point?
right.
Like maybe
I
they
mean,
missed that memo.
I think indie was also like a label because I was watching Twilight on the plane back to Berlin, and like Bella's on the phone with her mom, and her mom's like, she's like, I met a boy, and her mom's like, oh, what's his style? Is he indie?
I remember indie. I remember
Yeah.
it being indie, but it felt more like like what a mom
Well, there
would
was,
say.
yeah. Well, there was indie, and then there was also like hipster, which was like, ooh, like there was like this blog that I was obsessed with called Look at This Effing Hipster.com, and it was just like photos of people wearing the most ridiculous outfits imaginable, and I could scroll that for like
But that was still
forever.
the backlash to what was before that, which was hipster runoff.
Oh God, I loved it.
And hipster runoff was not anti-hipster propaganda. It was actually this veneration of like,
Right.
15-year-old girls in American Apparel getting photographed by 45-year-old men. Like it was
Right. Like drunk.
I guess maybe indie sleaze is best. Maybe indie sleaze
Yeah.
fits it best.
God, I would love to like look at the comparison charts between like this indie sleaze resurgence. Maybe it's a Jupiter return thing because
Maybe.
Jupiter's like 12 years, right? Maybe it's a
Yeah.
Jupiter return.
Yeah. I think, or it could also be nodal.
Yep.
It could be nodal.
We solved the trend.
I think it is actually nodal. I remember like during the Gemini, because that's 9 years and then 18.
Right. For like the full cycle.
Yeah. And I feel like the early 2000s, like the Y2K revival feels full nodal.
Oh yeah, 18 years.
Yeah.
Bring it back. Huh.
Like, I mean, just even seeing the thongs again coming out of the pants, which I think you've done, no?
How do you know?
I follow you. I follow all of your accounts. I'm following like 16 of your accounts.
I deactivated like a week ago. Okay. I have done that. It was actually a joke. Like the sort of like low rise bedazzled jeans were like kind of like a gag. It was a gag.
A Capricorn Rising saying it was a gag is like the only thing I ever want for the rest of my life. It was a gag. It was satire.
It's actually what I call a serious joke. Like it's a joke, but it's also like what's happening.
I love it. It's a joke, but it's also real life. I feel like in a lot of ways, so many choices I've made throughout my life could be serious jokes.
Yeah, just think about this, like, Capricorn Rising, Gemini Moon concept.
So what does it feel like for you to have a Gemini Moon?
Well, I have to think about that. I've I've thought about it a lot. I do a lot of like externalizing and then looking at my feelings, and that kind of comes in with like a creative process, whether that's journaling, when I was like making paintings or drawings or something, and then you look at them and you reflect and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's a conversation as well. Bouncing ideas off of people helps me to understand the shape of things and understand like the shape of my feelings and reality itself. Yeah.
So it feels very much sort of like uh a social experiment.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, sometimes I don't really understand things internally and need to experiment or externalize things in order to get a better understanding of them.
And then what sign is your Mercury in?
Scorpio.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So then how do you feel with that processing through the Scorpio lens?
um I guess I relate to just needing to know. Like I just need to know. I need to absorb all the information. I need to know that. I need to understand it. I need to understand it backwards and forwards. Like I gotta get to the bottom of it.
Well,
Which is
I
probably like an astrology thing
yeah,
too.
totally,
We
totally.
want answers. We want to know why.
Right. I think that there's actually a lot in common between Gemini and Scorpio. I think that they share a lot of I think that they're actually like a really low key good team together
Yeah.
because Gemini is like, has an ability to like get the information more sort of casually and um haphazardly, whereas
Mhm.
'cause Scorpio like and a Scorpio interrogation is like obviously it's like third degree. Gemini can like get the info in a more sort of like playful way, and then Scorpio can go to town on it
Oh yeah. Dissect it fully. Be like,
fully. Yeah.
I know what your unconscious has not revealed to your conscious mind yet. I just
Right, right,
understand.
right, right, right.
You know?
When you're working on the physical, you're working on the astral, like you're going back and forth between the dimensions.
Yes.
That is definitely like, I feel like that is how, I don't know. Yeah, I think that there is like a really nice harmony between Gemini and Scorpio.
I It rings a bell. There were like these like steampunk party promoters called Gemini and Scorpio in New York City back in the day, I think. Like on like those like nonsense NYC like email lists. There
Of
would be like
course.
Gemini and Scorpio presents. And Gemini and Scorpio has always kind of been in my mind as like a pairing just because like those friends started something called
Well,
Gemini
they
and
also
Scorpio.
are probably the two signs that get the most like hate.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, like if a poor man who knows nothing about astrology told someone that he was like a Scorpio or something, he'd be like, "Please don't leave me," you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I the Gemini and Scorpio slander is like so easy. It's so easy. It's like it's
Oh,
boring. It's boring because it's too
um,
easy. I would
yeah.
prefer I am low key ready to slander all of the other signs because I feel like it's time for them to also have that experience, you know?
Yeah. I kind of agree with you. I'm like, but sometimes it's hard because I'm like, well, how much of this is just me and my personal experiences with these
Right.
placements, and how much of this is just like me jeering, um, you know. But sometimes cancers are mean. Sometimes they're mean.
They're very mean a lot of the
Sometimes
time.
they're mean.
Definitely. No doubt about it.
Okay,
Maybe
I'm glad I
that's
got that
also
off my
because it's our
chest.
descendant, though. Maybe it's because it's our descendant.
Ooh, yeah. And I'm like, how could you do that? I don't
Right. No, I
understand.
think that cancers can be, I mean, I think all signs, like I try to be as fair and balanced as possible with
Yeah.
if like I say something really great about a sign, I try to also make sure I say something shady about them too.
Right.
Because
Ethics.
total ethics queen over here. Um, because we have to distribute. We have to make sure that all of the signs are distributed properly in our understanding of them. And also, of course, any sophisticated listener will know that astrology is really planets, planets doing things in signs as opposed to signs
Mm-hmm.
doing things.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, the signs, I think the zodiac has such like amazing symbolism that I'm trying to like embrace more too. Just because of the thing that I messaged you about, I'm trying to like figure out, planets aside, like the zodiac as archetypes. But I mean, these archetypes were completely built from the planets
Right.
and built from like aspects of the planets. So, I mean, and there's just like such like a vast history of other mythologies involved, and the northern hemisphere, like the weather and the seasons being incorporated as well. Like, I don't know, it's really, I think, impossible to untangle all of these things from the zodiac itself.
Yeah, I totally. I love like the tricky relationship between the zodiac, the planets, the houses. I love that they are correlated but not the same.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember the first time I learned that, it like blew my mind.
Yeah. And it's like I think that it's hard to grasp because you would think that, okay, it's like you have these sort of one-to-one correspondences. So it has to be, the first house has to be the Aries house. The second house has to be the Taurus house because it goes in that order, but it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
And that's like the mind fuck of it all. Is like, yes, they obviously have similar storylines. They're in similar spaces, but they're not the same.
I feel like whenever you can uncouple that, like that's just, you're officially an astrologer.
I
Like
think
if you
so
could,
too. I
as
do.
soon as you could kind of untangle that, like that should be like you should feel comfortable calling
But
yourself
did
an
you know that
astrologer.
apparently some people who teach out there teach them as one of the same?
Well, I think that's because they that's how it was thought of for a long time, and maybe this information is new to a lot of people. So like natural houses, the ABC sort of astrology, like that's how people learned astrology and don't want to give it up, and they might be, seasoned astrologers who are still making pretty good delineations. But yeah, I actually think there is a divide between like maybe people who like learned astrology in the 70s, and
Mm,
then like people who learned astrology where there was way more access to all of the information and all of the old books and teachers and
right. And the internet.
yeah, and the internet, of course. So I think there is a divide there, and I don't want to like harass older people who like I feel bad for them a little. I'm not, but I mean, there are all sorts of different astrologers who believe all or practice all different, things, and we share our, ideas and our knowledge, and it's incredibly valuable. Someone once tweeted that like a group of astrologers is called a disagreement.
Oh, that's so
Like
cute. Oh, I love that. Oh, okay. That makes me feel, I appreciate that very much. That makes me feel much more compassionate and open-minded and open-hearted. So thank you.
I'm so happy that I could help.
You helped. Yeah, you helped. Um, okay. So two questions that I ask every guest on the show.
Yes.
Question number one is, what do you believe in?
Um, I believe in the unity of all souls on earth and yeah, off.
Cool. Cool. No further questions.
I believe that we're all like one collective soul.
And is that why we all show up in each other's charts?
Yes, I also believe that.
Yeah, I tracks for me. I like
Mhm.
it. Question number two is, how does magic show up in your life?
Um, I I think synchronicity is the best way to describe it. So it's kind of like these coincidences that appear, and it always keeps me, in a state of wonder and belief and miracles and hope and faith and things like this. So whenever I see things kind of line up, and it 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 makes me believe in magic, and
Well,
the fact that it's just, I'm constantly amazed by life. Yeah.
you know that around these parts, we say tank, which means there are no coincidences.
There are no coincidences.
That's also how magic shows up in my life.
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like last night I was doing the reason that when we started, I had so many celebrity charts up is because I was doing a live show with Dumois. And at first we pulled up Brittany and Sam's charts. They both had Venus at 25 degrees. Then we pulled up Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde's chart, and she had Venus at 25 degrees. Then we pulled up, who was the last one? Tom Holland and Zendaya. And Tom Holland had Venus at 25 degrees. And I was at this point losing it, like, what are the odds? And moi was like, well, what does it mean? And I was like, I don't know.
No idea.
I have no fucking idea what it means. But like,
we better keep going.
Right. And like, how could you ignore it? It's so loud. It's so obvious. It's capturing attention. It needs to be recognized that like,
Right.
What does it mean that all of these people have it at 25 degrees and that we're looking at them like one after the other?
And I guess that's like a good moment to kind of pause and do like your interpretation, like living like it's like a dream. Like, okay, well, we're gonna like do a little dream interpretation, but while we're awake.
Right. Yes.
Yes. Like these, because these are symbols, right?
Yes.
And so what do these symbols mean? And yeah, definitely it helps me connect to my own brain when I do that, and also I think can channel some sort of divine energy.
I love that. Yes, I feel the exact same way. Question number 2 is no further questions, Your Honor. I'm going to pull a chart. I'm going to pull a card for you. Okay. And you said that you have a question.
Yes.
All right. Pray tell.
Aliza, could you please pull a card for me that corresponds with my Saturn return? I just want to know about like how to approach my Saturn return and themes of my Saturn return this month. Like, because it's happening right now by degree. I mean, my Saturn return is going to take place over 3 years, so that's kind of like a general question. But let's like simplify it and say like in April.
Okay.
In the month of April.
The exact Saturn, the first hit of the exact Saturn return.
Yeah, like can we pull a card that will reflect it somehow?
Yeah. What do you need to know about it? Totally.
Okay.
What do you need to know? Pile 1, 2, or 3.
3, please. And my cat came to say hello.
Oh, let's say hello.
She said bye. She just jumped down.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ta-ta. Is your cat a Leo?
I have all fire sign cats. I have 2 cats. I have an Aries and a Sagittarius. I'm missing a Leo cat.
I put myself in there.
My next cat will be a Leo.
Okay, good. I knew it was a fire sign.
If I had my choice, it would be a Leo cat. But I wanted a cat now, so I got an Aries, of course.
Perfect. Okay, so April, what do you need to know about your exact Saturn return for this month of April?
Please.
Ooh. Evocative.
Okay.
There's nothing you can do about it. That's the card. It's like, it is what it is, right? Like you are going
through your Saturn. Yeah, he's in bondage.
Yeah, so hot.
Kind of just like tied there.
Yeah. And he did it to himself. I mean, like this was a consensual act, but like obviously that is the divinity too. The divinity is recognizing that you are, for a period of time in the position to not know what's going on. And to have that uncertainty and to have that sort of like ambiguity is also what the Saturn return story is. But I also think that this card is interesting to get referring or I guess, inquiring about a Saturn return because this also has like a low-key Jupiter context to it as
I was
well.
saying, like, look at the shape.
Yeah, it's Jupiter. But then it also is Saturn because those two are mirror images of each other in their glyph form. So it is both Jupiter and Saturn. And it's the relationship between constraint and, bondage and Saturn things. And then also like the expansiveness that comes from surrender.
Yeah. There's nothing I could do about it. Just
There's nothing you can
gotta,
do, just hang. But
yeah.
also know that just hanging is like where all of the wisdom is going to come from.
That's pretty Saturnian.
It is. I love it. I think it's perfect.
Wow. Thank you so much for this poll.
I love it. What a good pull for a Saturn return.
Right? I'm gonna have to write that down.
Perfect.
Think more about it.
Yes, put it in the journal. Moon and Gemini it. Bring it
God.
over to Scorpio. Let us know what you think after the
Gotta
whole
go
process.
deep. Gotta go deep.
After the whole process has gone through. And then what's your Mars?
Also, Scorpio conjunct Mercury.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then what is your Pluto? Your Pluto's in Scorpio, right?
Yes, Scorpio. And then my midheaven is also Scorpio with that like Mars Mercury.
Is it 9th or 10th that, or I guess you
11th in whole sign houses.
whole sign.
It would be 11th, but it's 10th in Placidus, and I have the sun in the 9th house in Placidus.
Genius.
Thank you. Thank you.
Genius. I like a sun in the 9th in Placidus for you, considering the fact that you are an expat.
I'm an expat. I'm also I love God and religion.
I'm also a nun.
But I'm also like a spiritual freak. Love it.
Love that. Brandon, where can we find you and connect with you and continue to follow along in your Saturn return journey?
Sure. I have an Instagram at good_horoscope. And I have Twitter at Randon Gabrielle with ELLE.
For now.
For now. No, those are sticking.
Okay.
Those are sticking.
All right, everyone, you heard it here first. Thank you so much, Randon.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.